welcome to the stage, Mike Zakarian.
Good morning. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. The NBA Bits. We're here. Apologies. I still sound a little bit under the weather. I feel fine. Sound like a dog do. Hope everybody had a nice week, though, huh? We had some fun yesterday afternoon stream. Wow. I honestly, you guys are the first people I've talked to this morning. I didn't realize how bad this was. We had a fun time streaming some of the Bonjour France game yesterday between the Passers and the Spurs. We'll talk a little bit about that. We got some All-Stars announced. We had some fun. But let's set the table a little bit. We've got Live Before Lock today at 5 p.m. We got a weird slate this weekend. We have like 3 basketball games tonight and then like 9 or 10 tomorrow, which is pretty annoying. But yeah, so we'll break down Live Before Lock and all that fun stuff. Who do we got in the chitty chat this morning, though? Sneeps up and early. Good morning, Sneeps. Happy National Macintosh Computer Day. Shout out to Steve. The Jobs, my third favorite job. We got a happy birthday to Najee Marshall. Comment in here early. I wonder if we get a Keith Tucker sighting today, too. I know the Dallas Mavericks fans riding high. Bowdivine in here. Bonjour. Drink some honey and get better soon. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel great. But it's been a week of this now. It's been like a full week of my ever since Friday. So I don't know what's going on. But anyways, enough of that. Let's get into it, huh? We had some fun last night. We'll start with the All-Stars, though. The All-Stars were announced. Let's get into the All-Stars. So the starters were announced. And what I thought was pretty interesting is we knew LaMelo Ball was the leading guard vote getter, right? We knew that heading into last night's announcement. Once voting closed, he was leading the way, and he was not announced as a starter, which honestly makes me think he is not going to get in at all. I thought I had this tweet pulled up, but apparently I do not. But trying to find the tweet that lists all of the All-Stars here, Vigo. There's just so many dumb trades that are out there of people, like all of the things that I'm looking at. It's like, well, what if this guy gets traded? You know, like the NBA Central account. That's what I was looking for. Oh my God, here we go. I think I have it now. No, this is top selling jerseys. This is not helpful. Oh my God, I had this thing pulled up like 2 minutes ago, and here I am spiraling early in the morning while my voice is garbage. I'm going through all of these stats. Oh, that's a standings update. That's not helpful, Mike. All right, we do have the coaches. So the Thunder coach is going to be leading the way here for the Western Conference team, Mark Daignault. Even after he got his loss last night. And also Kenny Atkinson, old K-At, is going to be coaching the Eastern Conference. Clearly the two best teams in the National Basketball Association right now. We got a Macaulay Culkin sighting. There we go. That's fun. Now you guys can scroll along with me as I try to find the tweet here. Basically what we're saying is the New York Knickerbockers, the Bing Bong Boys, they got 2 starters in. They got Karl Anthony Towns. Oh, we can watch this guy hit a half-court shot for $20K. But, oh, that's sick. That was sick, honestly. I'm glad we saw that. I'm glad we had to scroll through it. Here we go. So the Western Conference, let's start with the West. So we have King James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Nikola Jokic, and SGA. That is your starting 5. That is your starting 5 for the Western Conference. For the Eastern Conference, you have Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, Karl Anthony Towns, and Jalen Brunson. I don't know if anybody's complaining about any of these, right? I guess, I don't think anybody thought Cleveland was getting 2 starters. I don't think anybody thought the Celtics were getting 2 starters. And because the Knicks have been red hot lately, and they that get the most production from those top 2 guys in Cat and Brunson, not too surprised to see them starting. It was good to see that that LaMelo didn't get announced as a starter. I don't think you can win 11 games. I'm sorry for regulator and all that stuff. Yeah, the media really didn't want LaMelo in. Finished 7th on their ballots. Yeah, I mean, but honestly, yes, it makes sense. I know he's statistically he's been having a good year. It's crazy if he's starting. You know what I'm saying? It's like the year Wiggins started. What are we doing? You can't have it. You can't have it. I think the real interesting conversation will come in the like next week. I think when the reserves get announced, I think there's going to be like Jalen Johnson. I was excited. I thought he was like a fringe all-star, but he's fallen off a little bit. Jalen Johnson too. We'll talk about that game last night. He injured his shoulder, and I would venture to guess a dislocated shoulder. I'm not sure if that's been announced yet, but that was brutal because he was in a ton of my drafts last night. But Jalen Johnson went down in that game. Tyler Hero, will he be playing? So there's a lot of intrigue with who the reserves are going to be. But good to see Wembanyama's in there. Wait, did Wemby? No, Wemby's not announced. Excuse me. I thought Wemby was the starter. My bad. We got James, Trey, Curry, Jokic, and SGA. Oh, wow. So no Wemby. The players voted Drew ahead of Hero. It's crazy. That's crazy. What happened to Gafford? Yeah, man. Yeah. We'll talk about my pick'ems later when we get into the show a little bit later. Let's do. Also, can you guys tell I'm not 100% here? I feel like I'm floundering this morning. Let's start with the Spurs and Pacers. I know a lot of us watched that game together, but man, Wemby just put on a show. I love that. That to me, that is what separates like an all-star caliber basketball player to not an icon's too strong of a word, but to like the Steph Currys, the LeBrons of the world, where they understand the moment that they're in right now. I'd even put Kevin Durant in there sometimes, where they understand the moment of like, not only is this a basketball game, but this is a performance. And Steph is always the best at this, where he just like understands like, hey, people paid money to come see this. This is a big game. This is an ESPN game, whatever. Like, I'm going to put on a performance. LeBron too, like, love him or hate him, he does that as well. And Wemby did that last night. At the end of the third quarter, he went on this insane run where he was, I mean, shout out Sneeps, because he was sweating the blocks, and going into halftime, he only had one block or steal. And then in a 3-minute sequence, he just blocked the F out of everything that was thrown up in there. He finished the game going 13 for 21 from the field, took 11 threes, which is wild. 4 for 11 from 3. Look at his plus 18 on the floor. Finished the game with 30 points, 11 boards, 6 dimes, 5 blocks, and a steal, and just really stamped out the Indiana Pacers in a little home cooking of this game, winning 140 to 110 in France. They play another game on Saturday. The vibes looked good there. People seemed hyped. It was a fun game to watch. Thing that I noticed the most from the broadcast, it seems like they pump in less music during the plays. And you could hear like of the shoes squeaking. You could hear people yelling out stuff. I like that. I want more of that. Give me more in arena stuff. Adam Hurley just came in and said, "You a big Laker fan?" No. No, I'm not. But good question. Anyways, I like being able to get a feel for the arena. So I want more of that. That should a note that the NBA should take. We don't need bam, 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 between every play. Every time James Harden's slowly dribbling the ball up court, we don't gonna pump you up. We don't need that. Just let me hear someone call out a play or something. That's what I want. But anyways, good win for the Spurs. They play again tomorrow at noon. Same two teams, same matchup. I believe it's in a different arena in Paris, where this is going to be the second of the 2 French games that are happening over there. So that's fun stuff. Yeah, let's move to France. Let's take the whole show over there. Good win for the Wembanyama, though. Good win for French basketball. Adam Silver was asked like a lot of questions about like bringing franchises over there and like what is the long-term this all look like. Now, and he kind of gave a non-answer, like, well, it's not on the table right now, but maybe on the side. I don't know. We know we're getting franchises in Seattle and Vegas relatively soon. So I imagine those come before we start playing basketball like daily in France. But good stuff. Shout out to the SORARE NBA community if you guys were out there. I know our guy John from SORARE was out there. Saw some pretty good social videos from them, even though I don't speak French, so I didn't understand a lot of it, but some good stuff over there. That was a lot of fun. But anyways, good win for the Spurs. Wemby continues to cook. I figured we could now, I know we're like moving through these segments a little though fast, but I figured now as we like bounce around the league a little bit, we can talk we can talk about the MVP because there were two, not two impressive performances. Let's do Denver first. So Denver wins this game 132-123. And I would like to shout out the Sacramento Kings, who kept this game just close enough that Jokic had to play his full minutes. Look at this stat line from the Joker. 35 points, 22 rebounds, 17 assists, almost gave us a 20-20-20 game, which we haven't seen since Russell Westbrook did that, I think, as a Thunder against the Lakers. Also had 2 blocks and a steal in this game. 9 for 10 from the line, 2 for 3 from 3, 12 from 19 from the field. Just incredible shit here. You can see all 5 starters for the Nuggets in double figures. Porter Jr. with 20 and 8. You had Russ with 18, 5 and 3. Jamal Murray 18, 6 and 5, and then Christian Brown with 21. Tough matchup for the Kings here. Kings on a back-to-back, had to go to Denver on the road. It's just brutal stuff. Brutal stuff for Sacramento here. De'Aaron Fox, who I thought for sure wasn't going to play because he looked like crap the night before against Golden State, still looked like crap. 7 for 24 from the field. Played 40 minutes, though, 17, 6 and 5. Bone and DDR were the only guys that kind of balled out. Sabonis had 23 points, 19 boards, 8 dimes. Got to get him to the All-Star game. Got to do it. And then 24 points for DeRozan. But the Nuggets took down the hottest team in basketball. They now moved to 28 and 16. Kings dropped to 23 and 21. Jokic, everybody, and rightfully so. I feel like every year we're like, this is a historic MVP conversation. Whether it was Jokic and Embiid with Giannis right there. And it's happening again this season. And Giannis it's great. We'll talk about the Bucks game in a second. Giannis absolutely balling out this year. And even though his stats are incredible, he really is like a cut below what we're seeing from Jokic and SGA. And I don't know how many of you, I'm sure you guys all saw the highlight at this point, but last night at the end of the game, at the end of the third quarter, Jokic casually just knocks down a 66-footer. That's right. You heard that correctly. A 66-footer. Here, we'll share screen here in a second. Let's go. All right, let's see. Take a look at this inbound play. 1.7 seconds left.
Fox hits. Julian cheated way in. Jokic going to throw it up from Oh my, that's only Jokic.
It's just insane, man. It's just insane what he's doing night in and night out. And I do feel like a broken record a little bit because I've said this so many times over the last 2 weeks or so. But Jokic, man, like Denver themselves, you were just kind of like, they don't have it this year. They let KCP go. They're not this. Jamal's been kind of bad. Denver's not really that team anymore. And then all of a sudden, you look at the Western Conference. They are now 8-2 in their last 10, winners of 4 in a row. They're 1 game behind Memphis and only a game and a half behind the Houston Rockets. They're not catching Oklahoma City, who we're going to talk about here next. But, man, Denver, I think the form that they're in right now, when you think about playoff basketball, because that's what's so crazy about Denver right now, I believe the Nuggets are like plus 13 with Jokic on the court and like minus 15 or something with him off the court. I forget what the exact number is, but Jokic is just like such an incredible force right now, clearly the best player in the world. But when you think about the playoffs as them as a plus 13, in the playoffs, you play like 40 minutes a game. And so there's less time with him off the court, less DeAndre Jordan, Najee Marshall minutes. And this introduction of Russell Westbrook here is interesting because now we've seen them bring Aaron Gordon off the bench a little bit, and that kind of shores up those minutes. Doesn't make it great, but shores up those minutes a little bit. Hey, Stan, don't you worry. We're going to talk about where, baby. We are going to talk about where. But I think Denver, man, in a 7-game series, I think they probably feel pretty comfortable against everybody right now. They're not like a dominant force. I'm not saying they're going to run through the Western Conference, but if they match up against Houston, Memphis, the Lakers, Clippers, Mavs would be tough. But any of those teams, I think they feel pretty comfortable. And honestly, outside of OKC, I think Vegas would have them as a favorite in a 7-game series. So anyways, Denver, like the issue with Jokic about the MVP about 3 weeks ago is we're like, well, Denver's going to end up being a 7 seed. Well, now you're seeing Denver 12 games over 500. If they continue on this course here, it's going to be a little bit easier to put him in the top tier of that conversation. Now, the other side of the of the MVP conversation is Dallas against OKC. Dallas, let's do the drop right off the top. Even though it ended up hurting me financially, let's do a freaking drop for our guy, PJ Washington.
PJ Washington. PJ Washington. Washington.
If PJ Washington only played against the Oklahoma City Thunder, he would go down as the best basketball player of all time. He has just continually beat the piss out of these Thunder. Last night, no Luka in this game. Of course, no Isaiah Joe, no Chet Holmgren, no Isaiah Hartenstein. But Dallas was also without Klay Thompson, Najee Marshall, happy birthday. PJ in 41 minutes, ready for this? 8 for 10 from the line, 6 for 16 from the field, knocked down 2 threes, 22 points, 19 boards, 3 dimes, 5 stocks combined. The thing that killed me is I really like Daniel. We saw with Walker Kessler the other night when OKC played Utah, without Chet, without Hartenstein, I was like, oh, let's get some rebound overs, huh? Daniel Gafford for board overs. We should win all the money with that. And instead, it was PJ who grabbed all the boards. Just insane shit from him. Kyrie had an okay game, 24-4. And then Dinwiddie gave him 28-3. Filling in the starting lineup. On the OKC side of stuff, J-Dub, man, finally we were talking about how J-Dub turns into a monster when they don't have bigs on the floor, and it happened last night. 33 points, 7 dimes, 4 steals, and a block. He was great. SGA had 31-7, kind of a ho-hum game from SGA. I know he had 31-7, but the numbers that SGA and Jokic are both putting up there are just nuts. And I just think, like, if we had this MVP conversation 2 weeks ago, we were just saying, like, hey, man, listen, it's SGA. OKC, clearly the best team in the league. OKC, I wouldn't say OKC's coming back down to earth. Listen, they're 36-8. They lost their 8th game of the year last night. I don't think it's a big deal. I just think, Jason Kidd, for his flaws, they seem to have these scrubs playing pretty tough minutes. Like, we're going to talk about the Celtics Lakers in a little bit. Dallas seems very resistant to let go of the rope. And I think they have a lot of excuses right now where they could be losing these games. Again, no Klay, no Najee. I feel like I'm missing somebody else besides Luka too. And they still have continued to stay tough. Now they're 24-21, and they are slipping down the Western Conference standings a little bit. But again, similarly to the Orlando Magic, they're just trying to stay above water as long as they can until they get Luka back, which weirdly, we haven't gotten an update on Luka in quite some time. But the third candidate here in this MVP conversation, let's go talk about the Milwaukee Bucks and the Miami Heat. Now, this was an insane game. This is on TNT. Milwaukee. Oh, yeah, lively. Thank you, Keith. There's Keith. I summoned Keith. Adam Hurley really wants us to talk about the Lakers. Don't worry. It's coming up. But anyways, back to this game. This was a wild one. So we were following flight reports yesterday as the Milwaukee Bucks were stuck in New Orleans because of the winter weather. They weren't able to get back to Milwaukee to host the Miami Heat at home. They finally get there. They had to push the game back, I believe, an hour. It was supposed to start at 7:30 Eastern on TNT. Ends up starting at 8:30 with the tip. And then, they were without Chris Middleton. It sounded like Giannis might not go. He was a little sleepy, not jet lag, but you know what I mean. They go down 20-5 in this game. Miami gets out to a 20-5 lead. Also, shout out Pelle Larsson, who got the start, and he picked up 3 fouls in less than 2 minutes. It was insane shit from Pelle Larsson. They get out to a 20-5 run, and then Milwaukee just beats the piss out of them. Look, they outscore them by 19 in the second, 4 in the third, and then 9 in the fourth, winning by just a million. I think that's actually 29. And looking at Milwaukee's numbers, dude, Giannis, again, 32 minutes, had 25 points, 12 boards, and 3 blocks. Dame time, 29, 11, and 9. I actually think they took a rebound away from him. It looked like he had a triple-double there for a second. Milwaukee just ran him over. I don't even know what to make of this except for Miami is just the drama's real. I was team they're not going to trade Jimmy. It seems like the smoke is really billowing out of the Miami chimneys right now, and it does seem like the move of Jimmy is imminent. And it also sounds like it's going to be a 4 or 5 team trade. He came out yesterday, again, amending his statement of I'll go anywhere, but these 5 places now he'll go anywhere but the Memphis Grizzlies, which I posted this out on Blue Sky. I'm a Blue Sky bro now. What's so fascinating to me about the Jimmy Memphis conversation, and then I promise we'll get back to the Heat. I can respect Jimmy being like, I'm done with Miami. You didn't want to extend me. Get me out of here. I'm fine with that. I'm fine. I'm pro player, whatever. Did he handle it the best way? I don't know. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. What I find odd about this whole anywhere but Memphis is you look at the Memphis team and the Memphis roster and the Memphis vibe. I feel like it matches up pretty closely with Jimmy, right? They're like a tough team. They got some dogs in there. They are contending, right? They're right now third in the West. I don't understand the desire to go anywhere but there. I'm kind of confused. I don't know if there's some backstory with Jimmy and somebody on the. I don't understand it. I don't even know if he's like this would be the easiest trade and the best trade for Miami. So he's like, send me anywhere but there. I don't get it because I feel like that would be a good fit. I'm not saying I even think Memphis should do it because Memphis is good right now. They, just keep rolling if you want. I'm just confused by it. But anyways, it does feel like it's imminent. But the only thing we can't talk about with Miami, I think we gave Milwaukee a little bit of love. They've turning the ship around a little bit. Kel'el Ware. Honestly, Kel'el Ware at this rate is going to win Rookie of the Year, man. I'm a big Jalen Wells fan of the Memphis Grizzlies. I feel like he's the leader in the clubhouse right now. Alex Sarson playing a little bit better basketball. Kel'el Ware's awesome, man. He's now playing 35 minutes a game. I don't think that goes away. Right now, you got to assume Jimmy Butler's going to leave, so that's more minutes for him. Spo now has basically come out and said Ware next to Bam works. Well, I'll say it too. And Stan, back me up if you want. Kel'el Ware in the last 2 weeks playing better basketball than Bam Adebayo. Now, I know the roles are different. The responsibilities are different. But, man, Kel'el Ware is awesome. Kel'el Ware is great. In 35 minutes, put up 22 and 10 in this game. We saw he was coming off a 20 and 15 game. I want to say this so clearly so it doesn't get taken out of context here. I don't think he's got anything like Victor Wembanyama. He's nothing like that. But it looks like it a little bit, right? 7-footer, stepping into threes, has not like that three. I bet you he ends up shooting like 38% from three. Maybe not this year, but in the next couple of years. Like that's a good form, good release. It looks like he's a shooter. If they could find a guard that could throw him an accurate lob, I think he'd give him another 6 points a game. I don't know how many people watched that game because it got out of hand pretty quickly. They could not throw him a good lob. I mean, they were just chucking it up to the sky. It reminded me of Wemby on the Spurs last year with Jeremy Sohan just throwing it 45 feet up in the air. Kel'el Ware looks great. I don't know what the betting odds look like. I wish I had actually made a bet on this last week or 2 weeks ago for him for Rookie of the Year. But if he's going to keep doing this, especially as Miami themselves, we're talking about letting go of the rope. The longer this Jimmy thing drags on, the more minutes for Kel'el Ware. I really do think we could see him just storm up the Rookie of the Year ranks. But it feels good, guys. It feels good to get the W. It really does. Kel'el Ware is a baller. You look at top-tier projections today, one of the better value plays. Good shit. We got Marco in the chat. Let's go, Marco. Shout out Kel'el Ware. Let's pop around the league here a little bit more, and then we'll get to Celtics-Lakers. We'll finish that because it's going to be a longer conversation. Toronto beat Atlanta last night. A-Town down back to 500, where I guess they belong. Scotty Barnes at 25 and 6. RJ Barrett, man, the second game in a row where he just took the entire first half off. Finished the game with 15 and 6. Just again tanked some of my lineups. Bobby Chris Boucher had 17 off the bench. Grady Dick had 15. I think he had 9 in the first quarter. Atlanta, I mentioned. Jalen Johnson went down, only played 11 minutes. Dyson Daniels was great, 22, 8, and 5. Trae Young at 18 and 13. Onyeka Okongwu started, but also had Clint Capella out in that game, so he played 30 minutes, 19 and 12 in this game. He looks good. Atlanta drew up 2 different plays for a game-tying 3. All right, so there's 3-4 seconds left, I think. They have the ball around half court to inbound. I forget who was inbounding. It might have been Dyson Daniels. They're trying to get the ball in. They have to call timeout before a 5-second. They do it again. Still can't get the ball in. Get it into Onyeka Okongwu, who gives them an up fake on the ground and then a runner. Oh, it was bad. It was bad stuff. Bad stuff. Okongwu missed the 3. Raptors get the win. And there we go. We the North. Raps win 4 out of 5. They're back, baby. What's up, Ricky Beers in the chat? Let's go, Ricky. But yeah, man, dude, that was a hilarious end of game sequence. Also, Tesla, can you copy what I just said there about RJ Barrett just taking first halves off? 2 games in a row, just only turnovers from RJ Barrett in the first half. And then second half wakes up a little bit. Portland and Orlando, just quickly. Portland beat the hell out of Orlando. They're on a back-to-back. They played tonight against Charlotte. I don't know what to make of this. DeAndre Ayton's questionable. He missed last night. I'm assuming Time Lord doesn't play again. Nothing really to write home about. Everybody kind of scored double digits. Scoot Henderson with a terrible game. He got benched, only played 14 minutes. I'm not sure what's going on with Scoot. And then Franz Wagner returned, baby. Franz is back. Only played 24 minutes, but in those 24 minutes, had 20 points. Paolo, look at this. Paolo 1 for 14 from the field. The fuck, man? Paolo 1 for 14. He had 8, 9, and 6. I'm not really worried about it. Portland, again, they play Charlotte tonight in a tankathon. That should be fun stuff. Clippers quickly. Wizards kept it close enough that they Clippers had to come back in the fourth quarter. Jordan Poole party 24-9. James Harden, I believe, had a trippy W. Yeah, 17, 13, and 12. Kawhi was back. He played 24 minutes. Big Zubac was back. He had 11 and 9. Clippers now moved to 25 and 19. Wizards still suck at basketball. Golden State bounced back after a brutal loss against Sacramento, and they beat the Bulls pretty handily here. Nobody really did anything for, like, Steph at 21 and 7. Quentin Post, who I've never heard about him at all in my life. He had 20 and 5 off the bench. Guy Santos had 19. A lot of blowout run there. But let's get to the Celtics and Lakers, since that was the second game on TNT, baby. Tessa said, did you hear the stat? RJ averaging 22, 6, and 6. All other players averaging those numbers are on a max deal. Yeah, I wouldn't give him that bag, though. I wouldn't. I mean, RJ's not a max guy, if that's what we're saying. Absolutely not. I don't think that's what you're saying, but yeah, he can look for the bag. I don't know where he's going to get it. Anyway, struggling Beantown boys. Celtics drop another game. Ricky Beer is happy about his Lakers. I don't want to take anything away from LA. I don't. They knocked down threes. They had a good game plan. They played solid defense. I think there'll be a lot of conversation about the Celtics being on a back-to-back. But here's the thing. Yeah, they were on a back-to-back, but Kristaps Porzingis was rested and healthy. So was Drew Holiday. Also, they weren't traveling. They were in L.A. I am now starting, like, I think there's a general malaise with Boston right now. I don't think it's like panic mode. I don't think it's panic mode, like that they are screwed, but there's a malaise there where there doesn't seem to be an urgency, a sense of urgency. And I think the biggest thing that I've noticed, the biggest difference between last year's Boston Celtics team and this year's Boston Celtics team is Boston seems to let go of the rope a little bit. Like how many and not pick it back up. Like how many times last year did we see Boston go down big in like the second or third quarter? And then even when they lost these games, they'd come storming back a little bit. And we've seen this a handful of times this year where they're just kind of like, not tonight. And that's what it felt like last night. I thought it was kind of bizarre here. Tatum only took 12 shots in this game, played 30 minutes. I know it was a blowout, so you're like, oh, maybe he didn't take a lot of shots. He played 30 minutes, though, 16, 6, and 5. Porzingis here in 27 minutes had 22 and 7. Jaylen Brown, 0 for 3 from the free throw line, all in the second half. 7 for 19, finished with 17 and 8 in this game. But let's look at these shot attempts. So JB got up 19, KP got up 16, Tatum 12. Peyton Pritchard took the same amount of shots as Jason Tatum in 6 less minutes. Something feels a little off with the energy in Boston. And Derek White, he only played 19 minutes. He didn't come back in the second half after his first rotation. Now, I think most of that had to do with them just getting smoked, but he also didn't play a ton of minutes in the first half. Drew Holiday, 1 for 6 from the field, had a couple of bad turnovers. I don't know if he looks right. I should give LA some love here since they did get this win. They shot pretty solid from 3. They shot 42% from 3. They hit 42 threes? No, that can't be right. They hit 42 threes last night? Is that right? 3, 7? No. Why does that say 42 for 89? That's wrong. Well, ESPN, you on drugs? Am I looking at this wrong? Anyways, whatever. They knocked down some threes. Rui went 2 for 5. Reeves knocked down 4 of them. Max Christie knocked down 2 of them. And then they got 4 from Gabe Vincent. We had a Gabe Vincent sighting and also Dalton Connect. 80, 24, and 8. LeBron, 20 and 14. And Austin Reeves 23-6. This is like the first good win for the Lakers that I can remember in a while. Yeah, they traveled between the LA games to the club. Maybe Matty Harrison. Maybe. But yeah, the Lakers kind of had they've another team kind of going through a funk. There's been a lot of discourse. I saw Anthony Davis having a sit down with Shams in like an AMC theater. I don't know. Did anybody else see this? What are we doing? Also, can we push the camera back? The camera's just like bang, just like locked in on AD and Shams. Shams is really weird. I think they were just talking about like, yeah, Anthony Davis was like, oh yeah, I've always played better. I always played better when I was the 4 and we had a 5. I think he's the only one that thinks that. I think everybody else has been saying AD should be a 5. But anyways, the Lakers are doing the Tim Robinson, I think he should leave meme. Like we're all trying to figure out who did this as they're complaining about the roster. Thought JJ Redick had some interesting comments after the game, basically saying like, hey, look, we can look what we can do with our roster. We can beat the defending champs is essentially what he came out and said. I don't think this Lakers team is good. Like, I mean, they're fine. I don't like there's no upside in this team. Let's go look at the standings here after this win for the Lakers. Let's look at the Western Conference. So they're still a top 6 team right now. Top 5 team, excuse me. They have a half game lead over the Los Angeles Clippers. No, I'm sorry. They don't have a half game. They're 24-18. Clips are 25-19. See the Mavs now after getting that W in the 7 seed. Timberwolves right there in the 8 seed. Suns now have leapfrogged the Golden State Warriors, or they are 7-3 in their last 10. All they had to do is send Bradley Beal to the bench and get Big Dick Nick Rich. And the Warriors trying to fight for that 10 seed here. But I like the Lakers. I mean, yes, you can always say, well, when you have AD and LeBron, you could beat anybody in a 7-game series. I don't know if that's true anymore. I think Lakers and Clippers I think the Clippers are a better team than the Lakers right now. They still have some upside baked in, right? They've been doing this without Kawhi. Now relying on Kawhi, that's a fool's game. But he is starting to come back. He's not playing back-to-backs or anything, but who cares? He's playing like 25 minutes a game now and looks pretty good. He's looked pretty good in these last few games. So I think I would take the Clippers over them. A healthy Mavericks team I would take over them. Let's see the Lakers' most recent schedule, like what they've done recently and what they have upcoming. So last couple games here, right? So they've back-to-back wins against the Wizards and the Celtics. They also got wins against Miami and Brooklyn, dropped to one of the Spurs, dropped to one of the Clippers. Now, it looks like we're about to see them go on a run here. They're at Golden State, 2 teams with no upside. Then they play Charlotte, Philly, Washington. And then so then the Knicks, you got the Clippers, Golden State, Indiana, Utah, Charlotte, Portland. So I think we're going to get right around the All-Star break, right? Around February, there we go, 12th. Is that when the All-Star break is? And then we're going to be looking at them, and they're going to be like, holy shit, the Lakers might be back, dude. Lakers have a chance to be a top 5 team, and I promise you, not going to be good. Matty Harrison says AD wants to be chasing around 4s for 32 minutes. That will fix your defense. Yeah, I don't get it. Alex, I agree with you, man. Celtics do stink right now. They look pretty bad. I'm not worried about it like long term, but they do look pretty bad. They look pretty bad right now. But anyways, good win for the Lakers. National TV. 2 tough games for TNT, by the way. The best part of the TNT performance was announcing the starters and trying to watch Chuck pronounce people's names. Both of those games were over at halftime. Let's go poke around at the standings a little bit more here. Let's take a closer look. Shout out Seth Myers. On the east side of things, Detroit, a 6 seed, baby. Pistons are a 6 seed, 7-3 in their last 10. Pacers, after dropping that game, they're a 5 seed. You see Cavs now have a 6-game lead. Knicks only 2 games back of the Celtics. Bucks only 2.5 games back from them. This is going to be your top 4. Cavs, Celtics, Knicks, Bucks. That's your top 4. I think the 5 through 8 conversation is going to be fun. It kind of feels like the Magic will flirt with catching up to the Pistons and Pacers if they're able to stay healthy. Hawks, I think we saw the upside of the Hawks and the downside of the Hawks. The Heat, I don't trust, and the Bulls. Bulls are just stuck there because you know what? The Sixers suck. And they play tonight against who do they play? Are they no, Cleveland tonight, which I'm sure will be a great game. In the West, we kind of covered already. But let's look at the schedule for tonight here. We have 3 games, baby. 3 games. All right, we'll just look at the schedule because ESPN's crapping out on me. So for tonight, 3 games. Portland and Charlotte, Cleveland and Philly, Memphis and New Orleans. Zion already ruled out, so there's like literally no reason to watch any of these games unless you have a gambling problem, which is why you're probably tuned in here. No LaMelo is a W. Totally agree. Who you got in the NFL games this weekend? I'm rooting against the Eagles for sure. I'm rooting for the Commanders. And I think I'm rooting for the Bills. I want something different. Do you think the Rockets can beat the Cavs again in Cleveland on Saturday? Alex, if Mobley's out again, yeah. I think and Mobley's missing tonight's game. I wonder if they're resting him tonight because they're like, we could beat Philly with the roster Phillies rule running out there because no Embiid, no Drummond in this game. So get ready for Yabusele. But if Mobley is back, if they're just resting him so he can come back on Saturday, I think I would take my chances with Cleveland. But Houston's fun, man. Houston's a fun team. Shout out Amon Thompson, Tyrese, and my bros. I love them. Many teams only have one game week this week. Yeah. No, I haven't. I have not thought about changing my last name, but thank you for asking. Let's pop around with the underdog and some Celtics. Let's see if we can get some pick'ems for tonight. I have a 70% profit boost on the dog app, which is kind of fun. Ooh, Kevin Forchie in the chat. Let's go. Let's go, Forchie. Good to see you, sir. Seeing you over on the sky. All right, let's go over to SORARE. So we had a couple of decent performances this past game week. We had two cash prizes over on the rare champs. Hold on, let's see here. And I think I gotta adjust how I'm sharing screen. Oh no, it did it already. Yeah. So this past game week here, we did okay. Let me zoom in a little bit. I think we only won like 2 rewards, but it wasn't rare. We had Mark Williams and for this one, we finished in 52nd and 48th. So we won 25 and 25. And then here we go. So Mark Will, Andrew Wiggins, James Harden, the Joker, and Big Dick Nick Rich let me down. 307 points. We finished 52nd. This one we finished 48th. We had 62 from Kyrie, 80 from AD, 60 from D'Lo, Mark Will with 67, and then Buddy with 39. You can see here, I canceled this contender lineup because I wanted to go and play the daily game yesterday for the Spurs boost, and that was a mistake because PJ went for 67, Dinwiddie 36, Asar 35, Vassell 56, and Keita 24. Would have finished top 100, which would have been another $10. So that was in the SORARE streets. But hey, we'll take the W. We'll take the cash, straight cash, homie. Let's figure out this pick'em tonight, though. Let's figure out a pick'em over on the dog app. We had a decent sweat last night in you want a limited Mark Williams. There we go. Is the Rockets Silas Aaron. That's great. Yeah, I like that we got all the old heads. Bring everybody back. We got John H in the chat too. Let's go figure out a pick'em. I want to show you some gross stuff in the pick'em streets yesterday. Let's look at this because I was so mad. So I was pretty excited here about this one. I got a free pick'em here. Giddey, I thought was an easy over. Barely got there. Got to 30. Jokic with 15 dimes got there. Derek White had 3 assists in the first half. Drew Holiday and one of those in the second possession of the second half. Derek White, little pocket pass to Drew Holiday, who whiffs a wide open layup. So that would have been cool. Then we had this one, which was gross. Dyson Daniels overs and Yeka overs, which we boosted up. And then Malik Monk didn't get there. We also had this one, which was gross. We boosted up J-Dub's numbers, Okongwu's numbers, and Ware's numbers. This is a 70% profit boost. We did 25 to win 1362. And then PJ Washington was so selfish with his rebounds. He was so selfish with his rebounds that Gafford didn't get any of those. It's gross. Steve says, why does Mark Williams only have lines for the first 5 minutes? So if you look at tonight's action, LaMelo is questionable. Miles Bridges is questionable. So that's why the numbers aren't up there right now because they don't want to give full lines because they don't know if they're playing. I'm having a tough time figuring out who it. Usually I can take a look at the betting lines, like the game lines for the game to get a feel for who's playing. They have the Hornets right now are favored by 4.5. And I don't know what that means because LaMelo's questionable, Bridges is questionable. So that makes me think they're playing. But also the Blazers are trying to lose games. They're on a back-to-back. DeAndre Ayton's questionable. You assume Time Lord's not playing. Do they rest one of the guards? I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. Anyways, here I don't know if I'm going to place the pick 'em yet, but here's one of my favorite of the day. I feel like people are just light on Jared Allen stuff. So, this was 10.5, I thought, this morning, but 11.5 boards for Jared Allen here. Again, no Evan Mobley. There's no Drummond, no Embiid. All right, Snoopaloop likes Oubre assist. Let's see what that looks like. The Oobs. The Oobs, 1.5 times. That's fun. So now we're at that's 4.6x just with 2, which is kind of fun. The other one that I was looking at here was Jaren Jackson Jr. So no Zion tonight in this game. My only concern is blowout. But wow, they lowered it, man. Can we get this up to 23? If he goes for 25, that gets us up to 11x. I don't know. I kind of like the Jaren Jackson Jr. over. We got Stubbs in the chat. Let's go, Stubbs. Speaking of W, Stubbs. McCollum over 3.5 boards. Interesting. 3.5 boards for CJ, huh? That's a 20xer if we do that. I kind of like that. I almost feel like we got to get one more, but it's a 70% profit boost. I might just do this right here. Yeah, so Jaren Jackson Jr. getting to 25 points, 2 dimes from Oobs, 12 boards from Allen, 3.5 boards from CJ. We're going to do 27 to win 544. I almost feel like we need to get another one, but maybe that's too greedy. Let's do it. I'll share this into the chat. Obviously, not financial advice. Come on. Actually, let's do the non-financial advice while I share this link, huh? We haven't done a drop yet since PJ Washington. Let's do a little NFA for you bros. None of this is financial advice. Do what you love what you do. Something like that, right? You're asking about Yabusele. Man, I don't know. I don't know what to do with Yabusele. I like Yabusele from the drafting perspective today. I don't really know. I'm just so nervous about these blowouts, man. Some ugly-ass basketball games, but, I mean, at least Philly's not on a back-to-back, although they play tomorrow, right? Yeah, I'm drafting a lot of Yabusele. I am drafting a lot of Yabusele, but we'll have to wait and see. All right, dogs. I know it's a little bit of an early wrap today. Unless anybody else has stuff in the chat, might call it here so we can rest the voice. Just a reminder, we'll be back at 5 p.m. Eastern for a little live before lock, breaking stuff down. And then same thing. I'm just going to, instead of doing a separate stream for live after dark, we're just going to turn the chat to members only for that instead of setting up a separate stream. And then might do a little VIP stuff a little bit later this afternoon. But my voice is really like, it sounds like it's almost warmed up throughout the show, but this is probably bad news bears. But appreciate everybody tuning in. Hope you guys have a good weekend if you're not in the gambling streets and the SORARE streets. Otherwise, I'll see you over there this afternoon. Go subscribe to all the things. If you're new here, thanks for hanging out. Do it. Doesn't seem like a crazy value week looking at top tier. No, I think it's figuring out the Charlotte stuff. Charlotte and Portland. I think it's figuring out that tonight. Because if Portland rests some guys on a back-to-back, that could be juicy. If LaMelo and Bridges sits, Nick Smith Jr. is going to be an elite play. So is Cody Martin, Seth Curry potentially. Mark Williams is going to be just massive tonight. It's going to be fun. But anyways, we're going to call it there. We'll be back for some SORARE action a little bit later today. Hope you guys have a good one. We out skis.